Okay, you might be wondering what's in the picture there. Well, today we're going to do, or tonight I should say, we're going to do a quick rundown of the easier way to create a sourdough starter. Now, usually a sourdough, a sourdough starter is you just add your water and your flour, and then you put like a washcloth over this, and you hope for the best to catch some good bacteria. But in the wintertime, like it is here, combined with there not being as much yeast in the air, and then a really, really dry house because of our wood stove, and this is actually right next to my wood stove. This is kind of my winter kitchen. You're not as likely to be able to catch what you're wanting to catch. So we go ahead and do it this way, and it works just the same. Some of you might want to know what a sourdough starter is. It's, like I said, you're catching yeast, and let's say you have a recipe that calls for a starter. If it calls for 1 cup of starter, you take a cup out of this, and you add equal parts of your water and your flour back into what you took. And then you can keep it indefinitely in your fridge. It'll go and go and go and go. This first time it's going to be left to sit out for between 48 hours and all the way up to 5 days, and then the starter will become really loose and frothy, and then once it hits that stage, you want to use it right away, or refrigerate it for close to 2 weeks. And if you're not going to use it right away, you need to make sure that every 2 weeks that you're taking out half of it and replacing half of it as well. So there's all different kinds of recipes, but what I like to do is there's 2 cups of water in here, and I've added my, I cut the name off here, but I found this stuff at grocery outlets, so you can use whatever. I used organic active dry yeast. I have tons of other yeast that I use, but figure if we start with organic, maybe it's not genetically modified, and will have as good of a taste and can last as long without losing some of its vigor, like as if you were to catch some wild yeast. And then 2 cups of flour. And I like to use the flour that I always bake with. That way, you wouldn't want to use whole wheat when you're usually using all-purpose flour. So I do use unbleached all-purpose flour, because I can get it in 50-pound bags for a little under $19. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting this in there the best I can. The reason I do 2 and 2, like I said, is it makes it easier to take out 1 cup of starter. You got to put half a cup of water and half a cup of flour back in. Life is hard enough without having to figure out complicated math problems to bake a loaf of bread and feed some yeast. So we've got most of it in there. So now I am just gonna beat this together good. And I mean, you wouldn't want to put like 3 cups of water and 1 cup of flour, because it needs to be thick. The flour is what that yeast is eating, and the water is what is making the flour edible for the yeast. So, it's kind of, when you get it going, you probably can't see through the jar very well at this point, but I'm just beating it down. You kind of want it to resemble the thickness of a homemade pancake batter. I can't speak for the stuff that comes out of a bag. I've seen it a time or two, and it's usually a lot thinner than when I make pancake batter. That's one of my favorite smells, the smell of yeast. I can already smell it. And I'm going to go ahead, once I get this beat up real well, we're going to just throw a towel right over the top of it. And don't latch this because it'll go boom, it'll explode on you from the gas when the yeast needs to escape. But I'll throw a towel over it to keep it kind of dark. Kind of like if you're fermenting alcohol, you know, it's best if it's in a dark place. Some people say anyhow. And I'm going to just, below this, I've got 2 shelves. It's like a little kitchen island thing. And I'm going to sit it down there until it's really nice and frothy and like, okay, you can see that this isn't the best spoon mixer for an example, but it's pretty, it's relatively thick. Let me see if I can show you. You know, it's the consistency of pancake batter. But that's going to get frothy, and then it's going to get really thin. It's going to, once it gets frothy, it's going to turn a little bit thicker than the consistency of water, which is, I don't know if that makes sense, but it does. So, that's been mixed really good. Just going to knock all this off of there. You know, this is just a great way to, I know not everybody always wants to eat sourdough, but the times get hard and you need to make your own bread, and you're not going to always be able to run to the store to buy a packet of yeast or use your bread machine, you know, so this, and I won't hook this because it won't, and that's not, see, I can stick my finger under there, there's still going to be gas escaping. But yeah, if you do this, you will end up with something consistent as long as you're lucky enough and have the good fortune to continue to have flour and water to feed it. You can have yeast for a long, long time. My grandma had her sourdough starter for, when she passed away I was 10, and she had it before my mom was born, and she said it was her mom's, and my mom had it for a while, and then it ended up dying on her for lack of use. But let's see if we can start this one. So here is a sourdough starter, part 1, and hope you learned something from it, and I think I like to say "and" a lot. I'm not good at taking videos, and I don't know if I'll get any better, but I'll keep doing them since people seem to like them. So yeah, we'll check back as soon as it starts having activity, you know, a quick little video here and there, and well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you probably in a few days.